that story comes from, I had just read Mark Richard for the very first time. Oh, I love it's so good. And I don't know why. I feel like I don't know why Mark Richard is not more famous, because his work is just it's amazing. And there's one particular story I remember I read, This Is Us Excellent, and that something like I'd never written from a child's point of view before, and I decided, oh, I'm gonna try a child's point of view, first person, and that's the story that became the heart that turned into the novel. I ran into this problem where, like before when I started, I'm like, I didn't want her to be in school, because then that's just a whole other thing, right? Then she has to go to school and she has to have friends her own age, and I didn't want to deal with that. So I thought, well, I'll make her homeschooled. So then you kind of, you have to figure out the background and everything. And I didn't want her, I wanted it to really be focused on her and not so much like the adults in her life. So I had to make them sort of peripheral. And when I was in my, when I was working on my master's, I had like a side job for a while, a little bit, working for like a nonprofit, and uh, the, I think on the board, it was sort of this progressive nonprofit that had like really progressive Catholics, and there were some Black Panthers on the board, and there was also some. It was run by Quakers, a group of Quakers, and it was really interesting. And some of them, I hate I hope that I don't come off in the novel as like making fun of I mean, I am probably making fun of them a little bit, but I also I have a sort of deep affection for them as well. But they would do all kinds of various things, like they would, not the ones that I was working for, but like in the past there'd been like some community gardens and like all this great stuff, working with inner city youth and all these things. But sometimes I was like, I don't know, is this really like, is their audience going to respond to this? I don't know. So I thought, okay, what if I have it be like a Quaker commune? But then I didn't want to have to. So like every time I'm like, I want it to be this, but I don't want to have to deal with all this other stuff. So it's like, well, okay, there was a fire, so there's only just the one left, right? And then her father, and then you kind of go from there. And you sort of, I don't know, like carve things out, and the result of that carving can seem weird, or like it becomes very specific. So
Well,
I like that word, ecosystem. I don't know. Sometimes when you're working on something, like I think I was thinking about the Wizard of Oz for some reason, and the balloon scene. I'm like, I need something like the balloon scene. And then I'm like, well, just make it a balloon scene. I had one experience as a child, like when I was 12 or so, going up like in a tethered hot air balloon. I remember like looking down the whole time thinking like, those cables, you could just, so yeah, it just showed up. It just popped in. Sometimes things just pop into your head and you just go with it.